Just 3 days after the director of the Oregon Health Authority said the National Guard would not be used to help with the COVID vaccines, Oregon Governor Kate Brown said they will indeed.
Our Guard members will be providing logistical and nursing support. The goal is to vaccinate 250 people per hour, vaccinating thousands of Oregonians.
Salem Health is already giving COVID shots at the state fairgrounds and plans to have a large vaccination event this weekend, according to the governor. The National Guard will set up tents nearby and be ready Tuesday to start giving shots. We've already seen the Guard called into action to move respirators and prepare field hospitals for COVID patients that fortunately were not needed. The new orders call up 100 medics along with 30 doctors and physician assistants who will staff the fairgrounds, according to a military spokesman. The Guard will also deploy 5 mobile teams that will travel the state giving shots. Oregon Health Authority Director Patrick Allen today said the state has received roughly 250,000 doses of the COVID vaccine and used 73,000.
OHA has delivered vaccine doses to 190 sites across the state already. We'll allocate vaccine doses to an additional 30 sites next week, including hospitals, local public health agencies, federally qualified health centers and rural health clinics, urgent care clinics, retail pharmacies, and emergency response agencies.
The OHA does not actually deliver the vaccines, but tells the companies where to send the doses and how many to send. When it comes to schools, roughly 50,000 students are getting some form of in-person teaching, according to Department of Education Director Colt Gill. Many school districts, though, are waiting to decide on reopening until January 19th. That's when the state may issue new health metrics to guide the districts. Governor Brown now allows school districts to make their own decisions about reopening, but the state wants schools to be careful.
Oregon has comprehensive and thoughtful guidance that outlines 164 different health and safety protocols that must be in place to serve students in person. These requirements remain mandatory.
Also today, the governor conceded that teachers will get COVID shots before seniors who are 75 and older and living independently. That runs counter to CDC guidance. The governor said it's a hard choice, but it's that important to get kids back into the classroom. In Northeast Portland, Pat Doris, KGW News.